Okay, so now it's recording. So T of 12% is that. That means that, and that means now we are canceling out. In order to cancel out 100, you times both sides by
The 100, yeah.
100. Yeah, 100 divided by, there's over 1. If you want to write it, you can write it. Any number always have a 1 over, right? For example, 3 is same as 3 divided by 1,
Yeah.
right? So there's no loss of generality if you multiply both sides and write over 1, because it looks like more kind of, convenient. And I don't know your mathematical level, but if you already understand that, then you
I
don't have
understand.
to, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to write 1 over.
Yeah.
That cancels, and you have t times by 12. And on the right hand side, when you multiply it, you're gonna get 60.
But wasn't it 66? I think we lost a 6, didn't
Oh
we?
yeah, that's right. I lost one of them. 66 there.
Yeah.
All right, so what we do now, 66.66 means 66 out of over 100, right? That's the conversion from decimal to the fractions. So after decimal, we had two places there, right? 1 and 2.
Yeah, I struggle with this. So you move them over 2 spots if you're multiplying by 100, right?
Yeah, if you have two spots or two digits after decimal, you're gonna write two zeros at the bottom. So I'm writing two zeros right here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I'm confused. If I'm just multiplying by like 100,
Mm-hmm.
um, why do I have like a denominator of 100 there when I can just simply, I guess, move the two?
Uh, in these cases, probably calculator is not allowed. You can use
No.
calculator, press 0.66 times by 100, and you'll get your answer 66. Right? So I'm teaching you the mathematical way of doing it. So,
Okay.
yeah, let me write it
No, because
down.
I don't use a calculator at all.
I
Uh,
know. And
but it's
in the
because
GMAT, it's not allowed, right?
no.
So, yeah. Let's talk about it. For example, 1.5, that means 15 over 10.
Yeah, or 150%. Yeah.
No, there's no percent. It's just 1.5. So 1.5 means like dollar and 50 cent, and dollar and 50 cents are equal to 15 out of 10. And
Yeah.
15 out of 10, you can reduce it. You can simplify it by dividing numerator and the denominator. There's a common factor that is 5, right? So if you
Hmm.
divide top by 5, you're gonna get 3, and 10 divided by 2, you get 2. So 3 out of 2 is same as 1.5. So that's a decimal. They are representing same number, different forms, but the number is same. So
Hmm.
every decimal number can be converted to the fraction.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And we call them rational numbers.
Hmm.
So any number which you have in fraction form, we call it rational number, and the rational numbers, they have a decimal representation. Like 1.5 is a decimal form of that. Now
Hmm.
1.25, that means $1.25. That means, I mean, we can write it like over 100, because we have two digits after decimal. So on the right hand side of decimal, we have two digits, right? On the
Yeah.
right side. So you put two zeros at the bottom. So 1.25 is same as 125 out of 100. And uh, if you divide them by, now I know that both of them have a common factor, that's 25. So if I divide top and bottom with the common factor, both of them are divisible by 25.
Hmm.
So we get, um,
It's 5/4, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
5 out of 4 is same as 125 out of 100, and that the decimal expression is 1.25,
Hmm.
right? And let me write a mixed number. Now the next expression is the mixed number form. 5 out of 4, sometimes they write 1 and quarter, right? That's a
Yes.
mixed number. So 1 and quarter, that's what we call in a layman language. So 1.25, $1.25 is same as
Yeah.
1 quarter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do we convert it to this form? We times 4 with 1 and then add it to 1,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So this is also equal to, let me write down all the equivalent expressions. 1 and 1 quarter, 1 and 1/4, it means 1 plus that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This I've been able to like memorize. It's just when you're, I guess, like on the question that we were looking at,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because we're multiplying by 100,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? Don't I just need to move over the space 2 times?
Say it again, please.
In the screen where it's like t times 12, where it's a 66 over the 100. Yes, yes, that
Yeah,
screen.
yeah, yeah. So right now, so we have
Yeah,
point 66, and point 66 means 66 over 100, and now you can cancel out them, and we left with 66, right?
okay.
So t times 12 means same as 12t. That's the same, like, the way of writing it. You can write multiplication sign or simply write 12t. That means 12 times
Yeah,
t.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, but I'm just I guess where I'm struggling or where I'm always stuck, it's when I am
Mm-hmm.
to the first t times 12, where
Mm-hmm.
you cancel out the two 100s. So here, when you're multiplying by 100, why did you choose to then divide by the 100
No, no.
in second?
Yeah, I explained you this decimal. You see, there's a decimal, and that's what I was explaining you. That decimal can be converted to the fractions. So I simply converted that decimal form to the fraction form. That expression is same as that one.
Yeah, but then, I mean, if you're,
Now there's no decimal. You see, that's just a number, 66 over 100. So your numerator is not
uh,
having a decimal yet. There we have a decimal.
okay, I think I understand what you just did. Okay,
Yeah.
because yes, 0.66 is like 66% out of a test. So
Yeah, you can call it 66%. That's the same thing, like
yeah,
66% or 0.66. So, but that's not a appropriate way of saying it. That's a decimal form. You cannot call it a percentage.
yeah,
So, but I understand what you mean. So that's this kind of same sense as a percentage. So 0.66 is that, and after converting it to that form, we cancel out this 100 by that one, and now we have just 66. And in
hmm,
order to get rid of 12, we divide both sides by 12. So we do 12t over, and there we do 66 over 12. Now they cancels, and now we have 66 over 12. Now, if your answer is in decimal, we can convert it to the decimal. If your answer is not in decimal, but in a mixed number like that, we are also able to convert it to the mixed number.
hmm.
So let me tell you now, if you already know the tables of 12, 12 times what number is very near to 66?
Uh, 12 times 4, maybe
That's 48.
48. So I guess one more.
12
Uh,
times 5 is 60, right?
okay, so I chose to divide by 6 because I couldn't remember the 12s.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just telling you how to convert it to the mixed number, which is right
Okay.
there, this kind of form.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you have to know the tables, like tables up to 20. Like just memorize the multiplication tables
Yeah.
up to 20. Yeah, that's important. They're gonna make you really efficient in the exam. So
Okay.
it's a kind of a long process. Within a couple of weeks, you will be like able to memorize all those multiplications.
Yeah.
So 12 times by 5 is 60, and if you want to make it sure, you can do this multiplication. 5 times 2, 1 carry over. 5 times 1, 5 plus 1, 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we know that 66 is very near to this number, which is a multiple of 12. 60 is multiple of 12. So I will write 60 plus 6 over 12. So I'll break it down in this manner. Now, why did I do that? So there's this kind of, logic behind it. I want to break it down in two different meaningful numbers. So I break it down 60 over 12 plus 6 out of 12, right? So that equals to that, and this equals to this. Now 60 out of 12 means, we already know that 60 divided by 12 is going to be 5, because 12 times 5 is 60, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
why we break it down in this form. Now we got 5 there, and 6 out of 12 is 1 out of 2. So basically we got a mixed number 5.5, or you can call it 5.5, because half means 0.5. So
Yeah.
the so the text is T is 5.5, and you can write percent
Oh, but
5 point.
I think it was the dollar amount that it wanted.
Yeah, now we go back to that. I'm gonna teach you the shortcut probably, but this is the long way of, like, you have to understand the basic concepts.
Yeah.
Once you master the basic concepts, you can do your own shortcuts, or you can develop, or you can learn through the shortcuts.
Yeah.
So that process, I can do all those steps in my head in just like 3 seconds,
Yeah,
probably
I
four
can do that.
seconds. So it's the kind of speed that you're gonna get. So that was that. Now you have the t. Now you apply the t% on 20.
Oh, okay. So 20
Yeah.
times that 5.5.
Yeah. So we do 5.5% of 20. Right? That's what we have to figure out. So we do 5.5% of 20.
Yeah.
So that means 5.5 out of 100. Of means multiplication. So we find 5.5% of $20. And the top and bottom, they have zeros in the end. So that means we can divide them by 10. So we divide the top by 10 and the
Hmm.
bottom by 10. So we got 2 and 10. Now, you can multiply 2 with 5.5, which is going to be 11, right? Double of 5.5 is 11.
Yes, yes, yes.
So 11 over 10, and 11 over 10 is same as 1.1.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you have over 10. So if you have 1 0 at the bottom, you write decimal after one digit. So you have you're keeping one digit on the right hand side. If you have 200, your decimal is gonna be right there.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
think I struggle there too with the concept of the
The conversion to the decimal form.
yeah, so I mean, I got up to my level of understanding where I was able to capture everything. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the check mark, exactly. This whole step, can we repeat it again
Yeah, sure.
as to how you placed it? Because to me, it was 1.1 over 10, right? But I don't know what
That was
you.
11 over 10, by the way. So 11 over 10 is same as 1.1.
Oh, 11. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I guess
11.
you're right, because 5.5 times 2
Yeah,
is 10. So yes, it is 11 over 10.
yeah.
And then
That's like
it,
$5.50. Double of that is
yeah,
$11, right? Yeah.
yeah. So now that I have that 11 over 10, if it's 10 in the denominator, I just move one decimal spot to the left, right? For
That's
my
right.
number. And then the
That's
one, the
mm-hmm.
10 disappears, right?
Yeah, so you don't write decimal, and I can even break it down, the reason behind it. So when
Yeah.
you write 10, not 10, 11. Now 11 out of 10 means 10 plus 1 over 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that can be written as 10 over 10 plus 1 over 10. Is it right?
Yeah.
You can
Yes.
write this 10 over both of them, And 10 over 10 is 1 plus 1 out of 10. So we got 1 and this fraction, which is 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 means 1 out of 10 means 0.1. Or you can call it, you see that?
Yeah.
1 out of 10 is same as 0.10. And if you want to make it more clear, I multiply top and bottom by 10. Now 10 out of 100 is 0.10, sorry.
Yeah, it's the
That's
same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So 10 out of 100 is that, and if you add them up, you're gonna get 1.1. So
Okay.
that's like reasoning behind it. But you can write, you can use a trick. You just count the zeros and put a decimal after the same many points on the right hand side. So the same thing we were talking here. So the reciprocal of that is also true. So let me write a couple more examples in order to understand this. So this conversion was from decimal to the fraction form. In the same manner, we can convert a fractions, like now 15 out of 100 looks like 15 cents, right?
Yes.
15 out of 100, that means we write it like that. So it's the same logic. You have two zeros and you count the points, one digit, two digits, and you put it there. Now let's talk about one more example. 1000 at the bottom. Now you have to count three digits, right? 1, 2, 3. These are three zeros. So this is first one, second one is 1, and the third you have to put a 0 from your own. So by we put a 0 and then we put decimal there, and then you put a 0. Now we have three digits on the right hand side. According to the trick, there should be three digits on the right hand side. So we
Yeah.
have 0, 1, 5.
Yeah.
Good. So if you have over 10, that's gonna be 1.5. So 1.5 is far bigger than all those values. This is the smallest, like 15 out of 1,000,
Yeah.
and that's like second position. That's like the largest value out of these three. So it's a kind of reciprocal of this thing. So whenever you see a decimal form like 2.01, for example, the conversion to the fractions is going to be 201 over 1, 2. Two digits on the right hand side of decimal, so you put 100.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of conversion that is going to be really helpful when you do that math. And that is that.
Okay, that was super helpful. And I guess the other thing that I struggle with is like rationalizing the questions, like
Okay.
understanding the mechanics. So for me, even in this question, like I struggled with the timer because I was trying to think like, well, what is it asking me? And
Mm-hmm.
I I panicked because I have a timer on the side, but also because I truly really just didn't know how to rationalize this. Yeah.
So there's a process, they call it rationalization. Uh, do you want to learn the rationalization? There's another process. Its name is rationalization. I don't know if you're talking about the same thing, but
Like I want to be able to understand like what it's asking me, or
okay.
like what techniques I'm supposed to be like using
Mm-hmm.
when I'm confronted with a question, because as you know, it's a barrage of different questions.
I
Like,
know.
so to me, that's going to be difficult to go from like linear equations to something like a word problem. So my
Yeah.
mind is constantly switching, and I'm still not very adaptable to that. And for this one, I didn't know whether I should, find how do I find X? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So now let's think about the same thing with some like more simple way of doing it. So from which topic did you pick this question?
So this is like FDPs, and both in the Magoosh. So this is from the Magoosh problem. It's from like a set of problems from Magoosh on their FDP chapter. It's a quiz question actually, and
Mm-hmm.
both on the Manhattan Prep, which is another basic math foundation skill
Mm-hmm.
textbook that I got. Those are my two weakest points according to both of the quizzes that I've taken. I've actually scored 50% on the FDP section. The first time I did it through the Manhattan one, I scored 50%. And
Mm-hmm.
on this one, I scored something like it's like very close to that too, 50%. And I did different quizzes. So some of them I failed completely. And some of them I got 50%, and some of them I got, like 80%, depending on if I was able to do successive percent changes. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as you give me something that has a ratio, or I forgot what it was. It's
The fractions and yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very weak on that. I'm very weak on ratios, and I'm very weak on a percent change, and
Yeah.
like it's really bad. So I really need help there.
No, it's alright. I'm gonna explain you all those doubts and the problems. So yeah, I was thinking of doing through a shortcut, and the shortcut is gonna be now when you know that your t is that value, you don't have to solve it out, rather just substitute it in there. So that's kind of a trick. For example, let me do it. Now I know that after that step, I just like pick up the t value, like t is that, right? And then I simplify it to this kind of form.
Hmm.
So you can use 66 out of 12 rather than using that one. So
Hmm.
you're going to be writing 66 divided by 12 there. So you will write 66 over 12% of 20, and 66 over 12 times by 100, and then you solve it. I mean, you cancel out the values and all that stuff. But that's the kind of, the standard way of doing it. It's a really standard way of doing it. I mean, there's nothing, that shortcut. Everything is like meaningful. And these calculations are going to take only 1 minute to do. I
Hmm.
mean, a well trained mind can do it in 30 seconds.
Hmm.
And with moderate expertise, you can do it in 1 minute, in like
Hmm.
60 seconds. Yeah. So it's just a practice that's going to make you perfect in this field.
Okay.
All right, so that was that. Now you want to pick another question, or you want to do same
Uh,
kind of thing? I can
Actually,
ask. Pardon?
yeah, it would be great if we, let's see, why don't we continue on that train of thought to look at, do you think that I'm weak on the basics? Like what is my weakness when you saw me like explaining this? Like what should I be looking at in terms of developing?
I think yeah, your foundation, your basics are not that strong.
Yeah.
Like you don't know the conversion to the decimal. I mean, those are the trivial things. 0.66 means 66 over 100. So those are the real basic things that you should know. So, but it's not that you understand in most of the stuff that I did on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So now you don't have a tablet, so you can write on a notebook and show me through the screen. I mean, you turn on your cam, or just take a picture and send me on a WhatsApp. You have two choices. Like,
Okay. So
yeah,
yeah, it's easier for me to send it to you through your phone, right?
yeah,
Or
just a WhatsApp. You have that app, right?
yeah,
WhatsApp.
I have the
Yeah.
so while we're working, I can show you how.
Yeah, or you can buy some small board from the Staples, like not a big board, like just like 2 feet long. They have small boards like you can put on your table and write your answer with the marker and then show me on the screen. It'll
Yeah.
be really quick, and I can suggest you do these things, or you can solve it in front of the screen, and I can tell you what you're doing good or what kind of mistake.
Okay.
So you can put it exactly opposite to your laptop, or just hold it in your hand and do in front of me. So we can do that. But most of the students, they solve it on a notebook and then show me. But the best way is gonna be if you have some slate or some kind of thing that you can write on, and
Uh,
I can correct you on the same time. So
yeah,
I'm
I'm
using a Surface Book right now, and it's
yeah.
kind of expensive, like it's over $2,500. But you can buy some low range Surface product like under $1,500. But I think you don't have to spend that much money if you're not gonna use it for long run, right?
No, I'll try to get a very basic one.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can send you through the. Okay, so
For the
I'll,
time being, you just send me by WhatsApp. I mean, the question that you will be doing right away. The problems that you send me before the session, that's good. I mean, you can use email to send those problems. So now I'm gonna ask you a question. Let's see how you understand that one in the same context. So let's say uh, these numbers, they select them so uh, cleverly. I mean, it's a really nice numbers. You get something really meaningful in the end, right? So
yeah.
probably the example that I'm gonna make will be kind of not that smooth. I mean, probably you will find decimals in the end, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
try to figure out something more meaningful. Let's do 78, 7.8. All right, so let's assume your purchase is worth $12 and you're paying $78 as a tax, right?
Okay.
That's the tax. Now, what would be the tax on? All right, on. Let me write $30. So if your purchase is worth $30, how much tax you gonna pay on that?
Okay. All right.
You can follow the whole process. Let me zoom in and you can see, and that's the problem right there.
Yeah.
Sorry, right here.
Okay. How? So I'm gonna have to do the zero. It's t over 100
Mm-hmm.
times
Did
times.
did you write down the problem,
Yeah, yeah.
Noor?
I've written it down. It's let's see. I
Okay.
can't even like properly. So I know that it's. I start off with t over 100.
Yeah, you're gonna follow those steps. So like I'm writing t%. So let's assume t is the tax. So t% of 12, it was that. Now you're gonna write t% of 12 equals to whatever number I gave you, 0.78.
Okay, so I'm gonna rewrite that. So
All right.
t percent of of 12 equals
Mm-hmm.
0.78, right?
Right.
Okay, and then I know that it's going to be t over 100.
Mm-hmm.
T percent is always t over 100 times 12
Right.
is going to equal the 0.78, and then I can see if I can reduce the 12 and the 100, right? So divide
Mm-hmm.
by 2.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you times by 100 both sides.
oh, you're right. I can just get rid of the
Yeah.
100 instead of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, this step.
Yeah, that's because then
Mm-hmm.
I'm just outright getting rid of it.
It's all right.
Okay. So then that comes off, and then so this is 12t.
Yeah, now we have 12, so you divide both sides by 12, right? So
Yes.
you're somewhere here now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm dividing both sides by 12, but at the
Mm-hmm.
moment I still have this. I should put the 0 point. Oh no, now it's 78 because it's over
Yeah,
100.
that's right.
It's over 100. 78 over 100. I've chosen to do that times 100, so that can come off.
Mm-hmm.
So now 12t. So t equals 78 divided by 12.
All right.
And now I can look into reducing, right?
Okay. Yeah. Follow all those steps that we
Yeah.
there.
Okay. So that's kind of like, because if I follow all of the steps, so that's like 70 plus 8 over 12.
Yeah, 78 over so
If I get up to the part where it's like 60 over
70
12 plus 6 over 12, it's the same as me saying 70 over 12 plus 8 over 12.
yeah, so 5 times 12 was 60. Now you have to find a number which brings you very near to 78.
So
And
17,
yeah, so 12 times, now try 12 times by 6.
that's
12 times
72, yeah.
72, good. So it's 12 times by 6 is 72. So that means you can break down 78 as 72 plus 6.
So 72. Sorry, y plus, plus 6, the remaining 6, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So break down or write 78 as 72 plus 6 over 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, sorry, but 70, that's divided by 12 is 6. Okay, so that's what you did. I'm a little bit confused.
All right, so let me write it down. So you had right now you're having 78 over
12.
yes. Now 78 is same as 72 plus 6 over 12, and 72 over 12 plus 6 over 12. Now 72 over 12 is 6, right? You already know that. That's why you break it
Yeah.
down in terms of 72 plus 6.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and 6 out of 12 is 1 half. So the t value that you're finding out is 6.5. Make
So,
sense?
yeah, so this is the percentage value, right?
Yes, a percent, and now you use that percent and then find out for $30 that you're interested in. So
Okay.
you do 6.5% of 30. So same as I did in that case,
Okay.
5.5% of 20.
Okay. So 6.5%, 30. Okay. So now it's going to be the 6.5 over the 100 times 30. Okay. And here I can feel free to reduce by 10.
Right.
Yeah. So now it's kind of saying like 6.5 times 3, right? So that's kind of like saying that's 24, 24, 25.5.
25 point
Wrong by a little bit, right? Yeah, it should have been 24 plus 1.5. So it's, yes, it should be 25.5, no?
let me see, 6.5% of 30. 6.5 out of 100 times by 30, and one of the zeros cancels out.
Yeah.
So we divide 30 and 100 by 10, and now you times 3 with that number,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be that, and you have a decimal over 10. So you multiply them usually like 5 times 3, 5, and 1 carry over, 6 times 3 plus 1. So I did in my mind, but you can do long multiplication like that.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you'll find out that answer. But you have a decimal right there after one digit, right?
Yeah.
So you put a decimal exactly after one digit, which is going to be right there. So 19.5 over this 10. Now this 10 is going to give you, it's going to give a push to the decimal, and your decimal moves to the left one step, one digit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got that. All right, so 1.95 is the answer. Those many
Yeah.
dollars. Yeah. So now let's think it from the mature point of, kind of mindset. So they're gonna give you some options, and now I'm gonna write down the same. I'm gonna solve the same question in more, um, kind of a shortcut way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to think about it. Can I copy it? But anyways, I already know that statement. Let me write down there. So on $12 purchase, you have to pay 66 cents, right?
Okay.
Now we divide both sides by 6 because I know that both numbers are divisible by 6. If you're paying 66 cents on $12, and if I divide it by 6, you will be paying like on $2 you will be paying 0.11, like 11 cents.
Okay.
And yeah, they're asking you how much you're gonna pay for $20 purchase. So the question is about $20. Now we know that for $12 you're paying 66 cents, and the next thing that we uh, developed is on $2 you're gonna pay that much money, right?
Yeah.
So the half of that, whatever value you have there for half of that is gonna be $10.
Yeah.
So if I take away 2 from 12, I'll get 10, right?
Yes.
If I take away 11 from 66 cents, it'll be 55 cents. So if you double that, your answer is gonna be 1.1. Got it?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a shortcut, like it's like next level thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's too advanced right now for me.
Yeah, that implies that for $20, that means I multiplied both sides by 2, and your answer is
Yeah.
$1.1.
That's very advanced thinking.
Uh, yeah, so let's do it step by step. First step, you write down $12 that. So the first step is divide them with a common number. So
Yeah.
all these questions you can do with the slow method or the standard way of doing it. And the next level is like a conditioned or a trained mind. So the
Yeah.
trained mind is gonna look at, okay, so $12 I'm paying that much. So what if I divide them by 6? So because 6 is a common number, common factor. So that's going to give you the tax over $2 on $2. Now we have $2 and we are interested in 20. So we know that half of that is going to be 10. So now we can, if we find out for 10, we can answer for 20. So we are working on 10. In order to find tax on $10, we do 2 minus from $10, $12. So 12 minus 2 is 10. Therefore, 0.66 minus that tax is that. And so the question was about $20. So you double it, double both sides, and that is the answer.
Hmm. Wow.
All right, so that was that. Noor. Now that is one page. I'm gonna open the next page. All right, so
Hmm.
So you have this problem and
This one's similar. It's but I like to set them up as ratios.
this one.
Yeah, I just keep on getting it wrong, and I want to understand like how am I supposed to set up a ratio in this part?
All right, so master's 30. Let me. That problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so cost of 120 gadgets is $44. Then at the same price, 180 gadgets would cost what number? So now the same kind of reasoning, the shortcut reasoning you can follow there. Now you can find out the price for one of the gadgets and then you can times it by 180, right? That's the kind of standard way of doing it. So let's try to figure out for 1 unit, the price of 1 unit. So 120 gadgets are 44 and worth that much amount. Now we divide both sides by 120. And that's gonna give you 1. For one gadget, your price is gonna be 44 divided by 120. And I'm interested in 180 gadgets. So multiply both sides by 180. That's what we're interested in. Right?
Okay.
Now, 1 times 180 is 180, and that thing you have to simplify it in order to give a number. Now I see the zeros are common thing, so we divide bottom and top with 10 and we get 18 and there's 12. Now 18 and 12, they have a common factor, and even we have a common factor there. So
Mm-hmm.
both of the numbers are divisible by 2. Even 4 divides both of them. So you can divide them by 4 if you want. So if I divide 44 by 4, I'm going to get 11. If you divide 12 by 4, you're going to get 3. So we have 3, we have 11 there. Now this 3 is going to divide 18 because 18 and 3, they have a common factor, that's 3.
Yeah.
Both of these numbers are divisible by 3, so we divide them by 3. 18 over 3 or divided by 3 gives you 6, right? And when you divide 3 by 3, you'll get 1. Right? So now we cancel out almost everything. We left with 11 and 6. You multiply them, your answer is 66.
Okay. It looks maybe like I
Yeah,
got
there's
99 instead of not a 99. I did something wrong, it looks. So
so how did he do? Did he use calculator for that?
oh no, I don't use any calculators because they're not going to do me any good.
Okay, so you just did in your head or you
No,
tried on paper?
always on paper. So I have the
Okay.
44 over the 120 times the 180, and then I crossed off the two zeros, and then
Mm-hmm.
divided by 4.
Yep. Yeah, you divide them by 4. So when you divide 44 by 4, you're gonna get 11 because 11 times 4 is 44. So when you divide 44 by 4, you're gonna get 11. In the
Yeah,
same manner, when you divide 12 by 4, you're gonna get 3 because 4 times 3 is
yeah,
12.
yeah. So I got 11 over 3, and then I have the 18 and the 3. So I chose to divide the denominator of 3 by 3, and then the 18 by 3. So I was left
Yeah, 6.
9
Yeah.
times.
So you got a
Oh,
6 on the
6.
top.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's a 6, not a 9. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
I messed up.
because 6 times 3 is 18.
Yeah,
So 6 times 11 is going to be 66. So
yeah,
you're going to pay $66 for 180 gadgets. So
yeah.
that's the kind of, they call it a unit method. We develop a unit
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a unit, you can do whatever you want to do it. So the name of this method is unit method, and that is one of the really primary way of doing it, really primary or simple way of thinking. So you convert whatever number you have. You had a 120, and the money that you were paying was 44. So you divide both of them by 120 in order to establish one on the left hand side in order to find the price of 1 unit. That is that.
Uh,
You don't have to simplify that thing, because the next thing is your ultimate destiny is that number, right? You have to find out the cost for 180 gadgets. So times both sides by 180 and then simplify them.
okay, I see.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
basic way or standard high school way of doing it. And let's try to think about it with more efficient way of thinking.
Y-
Um,
Yeah, because
yeah,
this is like it's still this is like abstract.
yeah. So 120 gadgets, that much, and the problem is what is 180, and we know that we can divide them. I mean, you can get rid of the zeros from both sides. So we know that we divided by if we divided by 10, we're gonna get 12 and 18, right?
Yeah.
Now, 12 and 18, what is the common number? Like the we can break it down now. 180 is same as 4 times by let me see, 4 is probably
It's six, right? So
6 is, yeah, 6 is better even. We don't have to break down. 6 is common. So half of that and 3 times of that. So 60 times by 3 is that. And here 6, not 60 times by 2. And here 60 times by 3 is 180.
hmm
So if we can find it for 60, we can convert it easily. So what we're gonna do, we divide 120 by 60. When you divide it by 60, you'll get 2, and then you're gonna get um sorry, we have to divide it by 2, not 60, because we have to use 60 right there. So I divide both sides by 2. Make sense to you?
uh,
Because I'm gonna use 60 right there. My problem is that that's what we have to solve for. So I divide both sides by 2, and 2 cancels 2. I have 60. So therefore 60 gadgets are worth $22, and I'm interested in 180, which is 60 times 3. So if you multiply 60 by 3 and 22 by 3, you're going to get 66.
okay. So the 180. Okay, so I'm just a little bit behind. So the 60 times three gives me the
180, yeah. They're same. 60 times 3 is 180. So the first step was finding out a common factor, the largest common factor if you can find out. And we figure out that 60 is the largest common factor.
yeah.
So
Honestly saying, I don't think I can see that.
let's do it again
At,
here.
at
Probably
my
you can.
at my level, for me, I think what works best is setting them up as ratios, um, because
Yeah, you can do in the ratios like it's a kind of ratios, but that is a kind of memorization, right? So you have to know the logic, like how the logical thinking work.
uh,
Without the logical reasoning or the thinking, it's gonna be hard to score really good on this exam. If you know the base behind it, you know the reasoning and all those foundation, then if you have fundamental understanding, you can crack any questions.
yeah.
So that was a kind of layman way of doing it, but that was a kind of unit way, a standard way of doing it. You convert it to one. I mean, you find out the price of 1 unit, and when you have a price of 1 unit, you can find it. We can find for 180 objects. So one object's price is that 180 is gonna be time it by 180 and then solve it.
hmm
Now I'm gonna explain you this thing once again and see. Let's see if you understand more better. So we have 120 objects, and the price is $44, right?
Yeah.
And we have to find out the price for 180. So you have to establish a relation among these two numbers. This is given, that's what you have to find out. So the relation that you already told me is 60. So this number is gonna be 60 if I divide it by 2. So, and that is gonna be 60 if I divide it by 3, right?
Yes, yes.
So let me divide it by 3, and I divide it by 2. And you have to divide it by 2 on the right hand side as well. So that means 60 objects are going to cost you $22.
Yes.
Now, if you divide it by 3, you get 60, right? So
Yes.
instead of finding 180, we find for 60. Now you know that 60 costs $22, and I'm interested in 180. And so we times 60 by 3 and 3 on the right hand side. So we got 180 because 60 is same as 180 over 3. So from that relation we got 22 times 3 is 66. So for 180 objects the price is gonna be 66. So from here we go there. So we use that information in that question.
So, okay, so 23 times, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Um, but I really just want to learn them as ratios. That's I think.
That's what they taught you on those answers?
Yeah, on both books actually. So to me, it's on the Magoosh thing and the Manhattan Prep. Because honest, if they word it differently, right? Like now I'm being accustomed to like seeing it this way. But if
Yeah, that I mean,
it's
you should know all the ways, and ultimately you have to pick the options, the right options. They're gonna give you a couple options,
yes,
and within limited time you have to answer.
yes. I've taken
Yeah.
the CAT exam just to see like where I stand.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, I can if I can see it as a ratio, that means I can approach it as a ratio. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just because I already have, I guess, those glasses, I'm used to it, and it's I will
When do you
pen.
have your exam, by the way?
Um, right now, I'm just trying to build up my math learning, to be honest, by practicing on these books.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to take it just to get the first test, the score by June. So I have months. I have months to work on this.
Right.
Uh,
So you have
but
1 month to master all those things or do the math part.
oh, but no, by June it's many months.
Oh, you have many months. Okay.
June it's so February, March, April, May, June. So like yeah, like 5 or 6 months. Even July, I can push it back.
Right. So
So
you
have
have, yeah, you have enough time for. But I'll suggest you don't memorize the things, rather understand the reasoning behind it, and
yeah,
then establish a shortcut to do those kind of questions. And that's really important to establish a shortcut. It's gonna help you a lot. But you
yeah,
have to understand how this logic is working. So understanding the logic is really important.
yes,
So now here, if you look at that, what we did, we are using whatever information they gave us. We are doing 44 out of so we are doing 44 out of 120, and there we are doing question mark out of 180, right? So
okay.
44 is a cost on the top. So the top part is cost.
So it always has to be cost on the top.
Not always. You can do either way. It doesn't matter. So cost I'm writing on the top, and the quantity is at the bottom, and so we have that relation. So this cost over that, those objects are same. So the rate of change is going to be the same. So 44 out of 120 is same as this question mark out of 180. So in order to find out the question mark, so you times both sides by 180, and you get that. And now you have to do math, and you have to solve that part. So you divide them by 10, and then you can divide them by 4. 4 is common factor, or you can divide 12 and 18 by 6, because 6 times 2 is 12, and 6 times 3 is 18. And then you can divide 44 by 2, which is 22. 22 times by 3 is 66. So that is the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the ratio form, like you convert them into the ratio. And so the ratio of this price and the quantity is going to be the same as the price of these many objects. So the ratio of that price and these many objects.
Okay. I think I know what I did wrong. I had set up the like the I think the 120 at the top and then the 180 at the bottom. So I had set up my ratio
But still, the
wrong.
answer is going to be same. Let me show you how. Now,
Okay.
if you decide to write quantity on the top and the cost at the bottom, you have to do this thing on the same on both ratios. So the given ratio is these many objects for $44, and $180 of we don't know what. So let me call it C or question mark. You can write question mark if you want. So in order to find out the value of the C, we we um, we isolate C from this thing. So there are two ways to doing it. One is multiply both sides by C, and
Mm-hmm.
then divide both sides by 180. Or simply you flip both sides. Flipping means you do reciprocal of left hand side and do the reciprocal of the right hand side, right? And
Mm,
then yeah, the reciprocal makes sense. For example, 2 is equal to 2. If I do reciprocal on both sides, that means 1 over 2. 1 over 2, they're still the same.
yeah.
So if you flip them, they must be equal. They must equal to each other. So by that reasoning, we flip them, and now C is on the top, and it's easy to get rid of 180. 180, you multiply both sides by 180, and that 180 is going to cancel out. So you have the C.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing as you have there. So
Hmm.
either way, you will get the answer, but make sure that you are writing quantity on both tops. So your numerator places are quantities, and the cost is denominators. So
Yeah,
both
so
denominators should be the costs.
so it can't be like quantity over quantity equals cost over cost. That
Uh,
that's
that
what I
still that still work. Let me write it that way.
and I have no idea. I need to
Either
look. I need to find
either
where.
way it's gonna yeah, either way it's gonna work. So let me write cost 1, cost 2, or cost small, cost of big lot. Now the cost of small lot equals to the quantity, and the quantity was 120, and the big lot was 180. So the cost of first lot is given, which is small, and that is $44. Cost of the big lot, we don't know what is that. So now solve that. In order to find CB, you flip both sides, and CB goes on the top and 44 at the bottom, and in the same manner 180 over 120. Flip both sides, that means reciprocal of both sides. Now in order to get rid of 44, times both sides by 44, and you will get that. So that's the cost of the big lot, and it's the same thing as we have right there. You see, the
Okay.
top is 180 and 44, 180 and 44. Bottom is 120, 120. So we are getting ultimately the same thing everywhere. So your cost is the same expression, and the
Yeah.
simplification of that is going to be 66. So either way, you will get the answers. So
Yeah, it's so I mean it's not like I can just go across, right? Like cross
you can do that. I mean, crossing is not having a much logic. I gave you a logical reasoning behind flipping it,
yeah,
but the
yeah,
crossing, many people will tell you, "Oh, do crossing." That also makes sense. There is no, because you're skipping two steps by doing that, by doing the
yeah.
crossing multiplication.
That's what
So
they suggest.
yeah,
Uh,
here you can do the cross multiplication. If you do multiply C here and 44 on the right hand side,
yeah,
and that's the same thing of getting rid by multiplying and dividing with 180. So you skipped two steps by doing that. So
yeah.
right now probably you don't know the reasoning behind it. Why did we do that? Why the
No, I
cross? Yeah. So that's the mistake. I mean, it's not a mistake, but it's not a good way of learning it. So you have to know every single reason and then establish these kind of shortcuts, right? So shortcuts are not bad, but you have to know the reasoning behind it. Now it's not like you have only 20 days or 30 days, you have too much time.
yes,
So yeah, if you want to really get really good score, understand every single minute kind of details of all those explanations
yeah.
and
I will need
equations.
a lot of help with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this thing is like, let me show you how you get that. Now, in order to get this thing, I do these two steps. You had 120 over 44 equals to 180 divided by C. Now, in order to get rid of C, you times both sides by C. Cancels. Now, in order to get rid of, I have 44 at the bottom. In order to get rid of 44, you times both sides by 44. This 44 cancels, so you got C times by 120 equals 2, and that's the same thing that your shortcut is teaching you right there. It's the
Uh,
same thing. So that's the kind of reason behind it.
okay.
So this cross multiplication is coming from these two steps, right? So, but I didn't introduce any kind of trick. The ways that I did, was a simple logical reasoning, like the reciprocal of these numbers are gonna be same. So reciprocal of them is gonna be same. So I flipped both sides, and but this is all right. You want to use that, use it, and that's the reason behind it.
Hmm. Okay.
So we did it in many ways. I mean, they're all ways to do it. That's the unit way of doing it. And this one is kind of logical reasoning, just breaking it down in terms of common factors like 60/60. And then we did with your method, like fractions or
Hmm.
the factoring, yeah. Any questions regarding that, Noor?
No, I think I will need to practice more. Yeah.
It looks like you're quite overwhelmed all with all those things, right?
Yeah, because there's so many different ways to do it and they're all right,
They all
it's
of them are like bringing you on the same. So,
yeah.
yeah, little knowledge is a dangerous thing. That's true. In math, it's a big thing. I mean, especially if you're like beginner, if you're just like a new learner.
Yeah, I mean,
So probably people you will be sticking to this thing, and sometimes when you open your mind, you understand all those things. They're same basically. The reasoning is same, right? Here I'm
yeah.
writing quantity on the top, cost on this bottom. Here cost is on the top, quantity on the bottom, and there you're doing cost by cost and quantity over quantity. So
Yeah.
all these things are logical and they're gonna give you the same answer.
Okay.
All right, that was that. Let's go to the next page. Um, okay. Now we have that one. Do you want to go over that?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay. How's Mazen doing?
I think he's doing good.
He's pretty busy, right?
Yeah, he is. He's a busy guy, but he does really good in math.
Yeah, he learned. I mean, he worked so hard. He's a
Yeah, he
last
does.
minute. Yeah, he's a last minute guy like me. I'm also like just do things on last minute. So we have something common.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a nice way of learning, though. I mean,
No,
doing
no,
things.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
and he's engaged in too many activities.
Yes,
He's
he is.
like
It's a big
his
problem.
brotherhood activities. Yeah. All right. So this one, corporation 60% of total revenue are is devoted to the advertising budget. 66%.
60%.
Sorry, 60 is devoted to the advertisement. Yeah. So 66% of the revenue of the R is gonna be spent on advertisement. 5/6 of 5 out of 6, 5/6 of this advertising budget, which is that advertising budget is um is that right?
Mm-hmm.
This amount. So they're saying 5/6 of this number was spent on TV advertisement. So 5/6 of the advertisement is spent on tele advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
Which of the following represents the dollar amount spent on television advertisement? So we have all these options, and the answers are in terms of R. So R is representing revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So so we have 5/6 of the ad, and so advertisement, that is 60% of R,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what we have to figure out. We have to figure out this value, this T, the amount that is spent on T. So therefore 5/6, and this bracket kind of multiplication because they're saying 5/6 of. So where we have of, you're gonna multiply it. So you
Mm-hmm.
do 5/6 of 60%. That means 60 out of 100.
Good.
Of means multiplication of the number r that we don't know the value of r. So now you're gonna simplify that, and that's gonna be your answer. Now we see that there's 6 at the bottom and the top.
Yeah.
So this numerator and the denominator are cancelled out by 6, and the zeros, they are not kind of, we don't care about them because they're gonna give you a decimal. So you times 5 and 10, or simply cancel one of the zero with that. So 10 is cancelled out by the bottom. So we have 5/10 of r. So 5 out of 10 means 1/2.
A half. Yeah.
Yeah, so r/2 is gonna be the answer,
Half
which
of the
is right.
revenue
Yeah,
spent.
half of the revenue.
Mm.
Now, is it clear enough the way I did it?
Yeah, this is exactly the way that they explained it. And the funny thing is, the first time I tried the question, I got it right. So I was
Okay.
able to break it down properly. But then the second time I tried it, I got it wrong. Um, and
Probably you overthought over that.
yeah, I think I overthought it, but it's interesting because you're saying, okay, so it's 60% of R, and then
Mm-hmm.
that advertisement budget is the where I substitute in that
Yeah.
R, right?
Yeah, we're just substituting its value. Its value is that. So that value goes in.
Mm-hmm.
And this add is that. And then there's a of 60% of and 5/6 of
Uh,
replaced by multiplication sign. And then we do the simplification of that.
okay. So for me, I think it was the reading component. Like I panicked and I
Oh yeah, probably you read this whole statement in a one go. So
yeah.
don't read them in a one go. Read just this much, like 60% of total revenue. I don't read the whole 60% of R. I write it there. And then is add, I write add there. Then I read 5/6, I write 5/6. You see, I'm not reading the whole thing. 5/6 of add. So alright, so they were talking about add. 5/6 of the previous thing is TV advertisement. That's it. So on the same time, I'm writing down the equation, and then, I mean, the question is pretty straightforward. What is
Yeah.
that in terms of R? And we
Yeah.
simplified it.
Okay. That's super helpful. Yeah, that one
Cool.
worked out. I understand.
All right, let's go to the next page. Yeah, there's no shortcut. It's kind of just a multiplication
Yeah.
of the numbers. So that was everything that you sent me.
Oh, I sent
What?
you, I think you got it the class. It's a ratio.
Pardon?
I sent you one thing.
Okay, let me
I think
see.
there's one that's missing.
120. Okay, that one, right?
Oh, not that one. That was their answer. I think I saw it when you flipped through. It wasn't that one.
Let me see. So not that one, not
That one,
this.
that one. The 24 students. Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move it from here. A class consists of 24 students. Okay, I write 24. Which of the following cannot be the ratio of the number of girls to the number of boys? So, girls divided by boys, the ratio of G versus B, right?
Mm,
So, and they gave you the options.
yeah.
And now, when you look at the first option, that means the girls are G, G is 1,
Mm.
and the boys are double of the girls. That's the meaning of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're saying girls to the number of boys. So G versus B. And now the girls are 3 and the boys are like 5. So that ratio. And then we have these ratios there, like 1, 1. That means the half of that. I mean,
Mm,
that's going to be 12, 12, right?
yeah.
So let me write it down there. That means 12 boys and 12 girls. And in this case, um, so 6 girls and the double of that. Now let's say if the girls are 6 and the double of 6 is going to be 12, right?
Yeah.
And the sum of them is not 24. So we have to think of the number. So if you're not able to, because there's no possibility of having half or quarter girl, right?
Yeah.
Girl is like a whole number. So let's think in terms of, now let me write down a mathematical equation. So you can write it like x times by 1, and then you do 2 times by x equals to 24. If your x is a whole number, that means this is valid.
Okay.
So you do multiply 1 by x and 2 by x, and the sum of them is 3x, and that's that. So x equals 2. Which of the following cannot be? So the answer is cannot be. Now in
Yeah.
this case, I divide both of them by 3 and I get 6. Sorry, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I do the same thing there, 3x girls and 5 x are the boys, and the sum of them is 24. And now the sum of that is 8x equals to 24. Divide them by 8. X is a whole number. Possible. Both cases is possible. And the third case is 4x. Now obviously that is not. Let me do that one first. So 1 multiplied by x is just 1. X. And then I do 1 times by x, 24. So x times 1, x times that 1. So we got 2x equals to 24. And so your answer was 1:1, right?
Yeah, because I
Okay.
see it, you know.
Right,
I
so
yeah, I had no idea what I was doing.
yeah, we're getting whole number.
Yeah.
So that means all of them are possible. Now we do 4:3. And that was for that.
So that's 4x plus 3x, right? Equals 24.
Now 12 divided by 7 is not a whole number. So
Yeah.
that means this is not possible.
Yeah.
And it's possible for that one as well. So that is that.
Yeah, so it's not possible. There we go.
So let me, I just want to make sure that it goes to you right away. Invite people. Oh, that was an email. Alright, so let's write your email there.
Yeah. So it's can I key on that thing?
You cannot
Oh
key
no,
on
I
that.
can't, right? No, sorry.
It's not that advanced, but
Okay,
probably in
wow,
future.
that'd be
Some
very.
softwares are like they have the options, but it's just a Skype, so it's limited. So what is that?
So I sent it to you via Skype, right? Is that what you wanted?
Alright, let me pick it from there. Okay, I'll copy it. I don't know, where's the Skype?
Oh no, okay, disappeared.
Oh, let me write it down there. So just tell me. I'll press it.
Okay. Oh, but can I press it or you need to press it? Because I
I
can.
have to press. Just tell me.
Oh,
You
okay, so it's
speak, yeah.
Noor, so Noor.
Noor.
Yeah, dot ALE, my brother's last name and mine. Dot LARA at gmail.com.
Okay. Alright, so that's right, right?
Yeah.
Now it's shared with you most of the time. If that's your first email from London Math Solutions, then sometimes it goes to the spam box, so you can open that one if it's not in your inbox, but it's already there in your as an email. So whenever you click on that, it's gonna give you the link for the OneNote. That's the OneNote right now
Yeah.
where we are writing, so you can see all the slides that we are working on.
Yeah.
So all the slides will open up. All right, so now, do you have any other problem that you sent me there?
I do have other ones. Let me. Yeah. So anything that is. So these ones I can type it in if you want. Um,
Yeah, sure. Or just open your cam. I'll take a picture of that quickly.
okay, okay. Let's see of my book. Okay, so it's like, let me see. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see. I'm very not technologically advanced. Let's see if I can do this properly.
So you have to turn on your cam, press on this
Uh,
button, and then I'll try to capture it.
So it's oh, there we go, right? So drill 7.
All right, so if you open it up, I mean, your book is going inside. Yes, just stay there. Okay. I think it's done. Let me see if it pastes there. That one, right?
Yeah. So
All
the ones
right.
that I struggle with, it isn't the UBS because I know that that's like 25% times 30 equals 75% over 100, like of what number X. The ones that I fight with are like if 14 is added to 56, what is a percent increase? So if we look at 12, 13, and 14,
Mm-hmm.
and even 15, anything that has to deal with percent increases, I struggle with a lot.
Okay. So number 12 is talking about 14 is added to. Okay, 14 is added to 56. What is the percent increase? All right, so um, 56 was the initial value, right? That was the value. And the increment is like 40 is the increment. That is the increment.
Yeah.
So they're adding 14 to that. That's why we're gonna do 14 um, divided by the initial value, 14 out of 56 multiplied by 100, right? That was the initial value,
Okay.
and then you bring it up by adding 14, and 14 is gonna be that much percentage. 14 of that is gonna be, now you figure out if there is anything common, 14 and 56.
Mm,
14 times by 6 is that, right? No,
no,
not that. Uh,
I can only see, like, I know
sorry,
that.
4 is 4. I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. 14 times by 4. 4 times 1 plus 1 is 5. Can you see that, Noor?
Yeah, 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 I see it. Yeah.
So 56 and 14, they have a common factor. We divide them by 14. 56 divided by 14 is going to give you 4. And we have 100 divided by 4. So make 4 pieces of 100 and you're going to get 25.
Yeah.
So 25% is the increment in 56. So we increased 56 by 25%. In other words, 14 is 25% of 56. That
Okay.
means 14 is 25% of 56.
And
That's
is there also like another way of doing this too, where I add uh like 56 and 14? I know that there's different ways of doing them. This is the way that the GMAT prefers me doing it.
mm-hmm.
Mm.
All right, so we have to know what is that ratio, 14 out of 56. And as I already explained to you, this is 1/4,
Yeah.
right? And 1/4 equivalent to 0.25, 25 cents. And 25 cents are equivalent, 3 equal signs, to 25%. You can do it that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is how you do percent increase. So it is the new amount over the original amount, or
increment is gonna go on the top. So you added
Uh,
14 to 56. So
oh,
14 out of 56 are 1/4.
okay.
So you boosted it by 1/4, and 1/4 is equals to 25%, right? Even you don't have to write this step. When you know the common factors, you simply write the percentage of that.
Okay. Okay.
So that's kind of shortcut or simple way of doing it. And
Yeah.
this is like a high school way of doing mathematics. So you can word in them, you show them all steps, but you don't have to show the steps. So it's like you have to just understand what you're doing there. You don't have to write down everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, so,
that
okay,
was.
the increment, it's not like I'm saying it's 114%. No, not at
No,
all.
no, 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 no,
Uh,
no, not
don't
like
think that way.
that.
It's
Mm-hmm.
the 14 over the old 56, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because
O-
14 is adding up to previous value. For example, you have saving $56, and your mom top it by top it up by $14. So that's kind of adding up to your saving.
mhm.
So that increment ratio is 1/4. That means your account is going up by 25%.
Okay. I see.
Good.
So it's not like I'm placing the sum of 14 plus 56 over the 56. Not at all.
No, not like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you always do with the previous number, whatever number you have previously given there. So in this case, that's 56.
Okay. So deal with the previous number. Okay.
Yeah, 56 is a base because you are thinking in the context of the previous value. So
Okay.
previous value was 56 and now new value is $70. So when you go from 56 to $70, what was the increment? That's what we're interested in. Increment was 14. So we do 14 out of 56.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Do okay, so do the increment over the base. That's the way I need to think of it.
Good, good. Your base is like the previous, whatever value you had before.
So this is known as the percent increase.
Yes.
So let's talk about let's keep on looking at the increase. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, because
All
there's another
right. Let me
increase.
write here percent. Now, do you want to do the number 13?
Yeah, yeah. Super.
Okay. Number 13 is what is the percent increase from 50 to 60?
So I put
So,
my 60
yeah,
up and the 50 on the bottom, right?
yeah, from 50 to 60. So, no, no, that's kind of different. Increasing from 50, your account was $50 and now your bank account is showing $60. So the increment is $10. Kind of a layman way of saying it. So the increment from 50 to 60, to go from 50 to 60, you have to add $10 in 50, right? So $10 is the increment. So you um, top it up by $10. So 10 based on 50.
Oh,
What is the percent increase that you need from going from 50 to 60? That is 10. So 10 divided by 50 multiplied by 100, and now we simplify this thing, or simply you find out the ratio of that. The ratio is 1/5, and the 1/5 is equivalent to 20%, right?
yeah.
1 out of 5 is like 20%, or 1 out of $5 is same as 20 out of 100, so you're going to write 0.20 or simply by 20%.
Okay.
So 1/5 is equivalent to 20%.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to look as to how I was doing them before because it's there's something that I'm doing wrong and it's
Mm-hmm.
carrying through. Uh,
Yeah, what you did probably you wrote 50 over 60, which is not right. you have to write increment on the top, like there, divided by the previous amount. So your increment goes on the top.
Okay, so yeah, it's gonna have to be the 10 over the 50. So it's the 1/5, it's the
Yeah,
20%.
divided by previous
Yeah.
amount. So increment divided by previous amount is going to give you the ratio, and that ratio you convert in a decimal or percentage.
Okay. Previous amount. So yeah, there was. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, that would have been really wrong. The 60 over the 50. There's no way
Yeah,
on anything
there's
like that.
there's no logical reasoning behind thinking that way. So it was 10 out of 50, and that's 20%.
Yeah,
Good.
got
And
it.
14 is. Are you good with that, Noor?
Yeah, I'm getting it now because it's simply take away the 60 minus the 50.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the total increase. Put
Yep.
it over my base of the previous
Mm-hmm.
amount, and then reduce to see get the decimal, get the percentage out of that because I'm being forced to memorize the percentage values of the fractions.
Yeah.
Okay.
What number is 40%? What number is 40% more than 30? Yeah, more than 30. What number, let me call it X number, is X is 40% more than 30. So now when we say that 40% more than 30, X is 40%. So X is, now we can create an equivalent between
Yeah,
X and 30. So X is more than, that means we do positive sign. X is this much bigger. How much? 40% more. So 40% more than 30, that means you do 40% of 30, right? Let me write it down. X is 40% more than 30. For example, let's think it that way. There's a 60, this is 20. I can say that 20 is, now can you see the percentage increase, or let me do it that way? Really simple. I do 50 and 100. Now we can say that this is 50% more than that,
yeah,
right? This, sorry, 100 is
yeah,
50% more, and 50 is 50% less than that.
yeah,
So in the same manner, we can talk about 20, 10. Now 20 is 50% more than that. In other words, it's double of that.
yeah,
So in order to establish the equality, you have to do, um, I'm saying 50% more, right? Now this number, let's say this number is not given. So I write x plus x of 50% of 10, right?
hmm
So we do 50% more than that. So we do 50% of that, then we add it up to x. So now we got 10 over 2 plus x equals to 10. So your x is gonna be, that is 5 equals to 10. So I'm doing a mistake there. I will write x because it's more than, right? 50% more than that, so we do 50% of x. So 50% of x is gonna be, they cancel out, and we got x over 2. So here we got x out of 2. And when we add them, 3 plus 1, 3x divided by 2 equals to that. So x equals to 10. So we got 20 divided by 3.
mm,
No, that's not a logical reasoning
yeah.
behind it.
It's really complicated.
I'm trying to establish an example to understand that. Let's think another way because this is quite confusing way.
Or maybe the numbers didn't lend themselves
Um,
to canceling out easy.
yeah, we were thinking of in the context of 50% more than that. Like 20 is 50% more than 10, right?
Yeah, the doubling.
Probably it's not true. Let me see that. We do 50% of 20. Now 50% of 20 is 10. So it's not 50%, it's 100% more actually. Because it's a double of that, right?
Yeah, you're
So
right. Yeah.
20 is 100% of 10. So the 50% of that is going to be, if you do 50% of 10, that's going to be 5. And that way it's going to be 15. That's why we were getting that problem.
Okay.
Now it's like 15 is 50% of that. I mean 15 is 50% more than 10, right? 15 is 50% more than 10. So we do 15 equals to, how much more is that? 15 is 10 plus,
5, right?
50%
Oh,
of that number. So that number is 10. 15 is 50% more than, more means that 10, right?
yeah.
So that means 10 plus 50% of 10 make it equals to that side 15. So now we know that if you cancel it out, it's 2, 5, and they're equal. So it makes perfect sense. That means 15 is 50% more than 10. And that's how we do mathematically. So in the same context, if you go there with the same example analogy that we have there, let me write it. So x is 40% more than 30. That means x equals to 30 plus 40% of 30, right? You can write multiplication signs if you want, times by 30. Noor, is it right? X is 40% more than 30. That means x equals to 30 plus 40% of 30. Because x is bigger than 30. How much bigger is it?
40%.
It's 40%, yeah. So we do 30 plus 40% of 30 equals to that. Now we simplify the right hand side. We have the zeros, cancel one of the zero, and 3 times 40 is 120. 4 times 3, 12, and 0 stays there. Or simply cancel out your zeros and you have 12. So both of the bottom zeros cancels out by numerator's 0, and we have now 12. 4 times 3 is 12, and we add it up, and the answer is 42. That means 42 is 40% more than 30. So x value is 42.
Okay.
42 is 40% more than that. So that example was kind of helpful, I guess, to understand.
It's I guess the thing is I would have never known to implicate like two sets of 30s, you know? So I just don't understand where my thinking is going like astray.
Yeah, it's like, beginning of these kind of statements, mathematical statements, and eventually you're gonna be more kind of, um, like relaxed way. I mean, whenever you do the math, you will be more relaxed to do that. So the practice is gonna make you perfect. So just do these kind of questions, and I think it's the first time you're looking at these kind of questions. So your brain is not trained to do these kind of pattern thinking. So
No.
your brain is learning new things, and eventually these things are gonna be common and obvious for you.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I just looked at the back of how they did it, and they have the one way that you did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the same. So 30 plus 40 over the 100 times the 30.
Yeah.
And then I remember doing this way too, which says that alternatively 40% more than a number is the same as 100% of that number plus an additional 40. So
Yep.
if I can't see it, if my brain can't think in that pattern of the way that you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing it, I could do 140 over the 100 times the 30.
No, I think you should be open-minded. This is one of the way, and 40% means if that is 100 and then this is 40, right?
Yeah.
40% more. So that means 40 out of 100 plus whatever number, like let's say that's number is 100, so that'll be 140, right? So that means if one of the number is 100, the another number is gonna be 140. So
Yeah.
probably they're doing in that manner, right?
Yeah, they're it's like that. So like the 140 becomes the numerator, and then
Yeah,
over the 100. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
100 out of 140 is same as the number that they gave us. 30 out of, we don't know what is that. So this is a bigger number.
uh,
So 100 out of 140 is same as 30 out of x, and then you flip both sides,
yeah,
and by flipping you get your x on the top, or you can do the cross multiplication that
yeah,
you know already know, and then we times both sides by 30. So you're gonna get this thing 140 divided by 100 equals to x, but it's taking almost same time to do
So,
the
but it's not I wish I could write it down because then it would be like easy. It's simply x equals 140 over the 100 times the 30, and then I'm just crossing up zeros.
yeah, then you're crossing zeros and timing 14 by 3, which is 42.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So you can think it that way, like 40 out of 100 and add it up. Like let's
Yeah.
assume the initial value is 100. So 40% of 100 is going to be 40 out of 100. When you add it to 100, you will get 140. That
Hmm.
means if that is the initial value, it's 40% additional is going to be 140.
Just
That
bumps.
means, yeah, 100 out of 140 is same as 30 out of 40% increment that we don't know that value, and then you simplify it.
Yeah.
So that's the another way of doing it.
And then I guess on that note, we can do the decrease. I think we have 10 minutes less. It's the 55. What is 60% less than 60?
All right, let's do the next one. Uh, what is 60% less than 60? All right. That is number 15, right?
Yes, yes.
60% less than 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is 60% less than 60? Now, we know that 60%, we have two ways of doing it.
Yes.
So 60%, now they're asking what number. So we do x number is less than 60. How much smaller is that? X is 60% smaller. 60% smaller. 60% of 60 take away from 60 is x. So your x, which is question mark, is 60% less than 60. So 60 goes there minus. So
Mm-hmm.
you reduce it by 60% of the number, whatever number you have. If you have 20 there, you write 20. If that is 60, 60 goes here. Whatever number you have there, it just goes there. And you simplify that. Zeros cancel out. So x is 24. That means 4 is 60% less than 60.
Okay, so I see. So
Uh,
that's 60, that's 30, sorry, 36 minus 60 minus 36, right?
Yeah, 60 minus 36. 36 is 60% of
Uh-huh.
60.
And
Yeah.
this equals 24. And then the way that we could do it too, uh,
Yes, now the another way of doing is, let's say the amount is 60. Now the 60% of that is gonna be 60 out of 100, and you're taking 60% away from that. That means 100 minus 60 over 100, right? 60%. Now we know that 60% of that is gonna be zero point 0.6. Um,
wouldn't it be 40?
yeah, so let me write it down here. So if that is 100, 60% of 100 is going to be 60, right? Let me write it down
Yeah.
without that, because that is out of 60% means 60 out of 100. So 60 minus 100 minus 60 is 40. So that means the number is basically 40. If this number is 100, then the number 40 is 60% smaller than 100, right?
Hmm.
So your number is 60 at the bottom, and we don't know what is that. If 40 is 60% less than 100, then what would be x? 60% less than 60. Now we multiply both sides by 60. 60 multiply 40 divided by 100. Now the zeros cancel, so that is the x value.
Hmm.
So this is the alternate method.
Hmm.
Alternatively, we can do it this way.
Hey.
Okay, no, that was that.
So for me, what do you suggest that I do? Because I've identified this as a key problem actually repeatedly.
Cheap problem.
No, sorry. Like, what do you suggest that I do in my case? Like, should I look at even more basic problems from like grade 7, grade 8 textbooks? Uh,
Um,
or,
you don't have to solve those problems, because these problems are like more general problems. So you need to know the mathematical tools, like how we use math to do it. So some people, even they're illiterate, they can use math by doing kind of, some, like they make a kind of analogy, and like for example here we are assuming, all right, so if it's $100, 60% of that is 60, right?
yeah.
So this way somebody can like do the math without knowing the division, but knowing all those techniques, like whatever I did there, this is like more logical. So you should learn all those things. I mean, you have to know the conversions, how to convert percentage to, but I mean, you're not that bad. You still know a lot of stuff. I
Okay.
mean, for sure you need like improvement, but still you have like good understanding of most of the concepts or mathematical tools.
Okay.
Yeah. So just keep practicing, because your brain is learning these kind of thinking. So it's
Okay.
new for you. Eventually, you will find them kind of obvious things. So that math is not that hard. It's like basic math, like grade 10 or maybe 11, 12 standard math that you're doing right now.
Okay.
But it's like more practical problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So for me, it's just keep on practicing, and if I get them wrong, we'll go over them.
Yeah, so we can share, I can show you all possible methods. Then when you have the knowledge of those things, then I mean it's gonna be more meaningful for you. With that knowledge you can, solve more questions. So if
Okay.
you have just a like specific way of doing the things, probably they can twist the information and confuse you, because there are a variety of questions, but uh, I don't think it's gonna be that hard to get a really good score on that. because you have a lot of time
Yeah.
and you're kind of full time working on these things. So,
Yeah, yeah, like every
yeah.
day. Every day it's like if today was only 2 hours that I did, but sometimes I do 5 hours on my own. Uh,
Yeah, that I mean that's the best way, self-learning, and then you can like ask me the same questions and I can explain you the same thing with I can break it down in a more like small steps
mhm.
to understand it more thoroughly.
Yeah, so
So,
for me, I guess it's being adaptable to approaching things differently too, right? That's something.
yeah, yeah. So be open and like the one question you can think about the same problem in many different ways and pick up whatever you want, but you should be 100% sure like what is the cross multiplication and how it works. So that understanding is going to help you a lot when you do the real exam. But I think you are on a right path. I mean, you are learning things. Those mathematical statements that we did in this one are not that difficult. But now, if they ask you anything similar to that, and they're like 99% chances that you can do it right
Yeah,
because you have the knowledge of that. So,
yeah.
yeah, keep doing the practice and we'll schedule sessions as soon as you. I'm gonna put this video on my YouTube channel, London Math Solutions, or you can go to my website, londonmathsolutions.ca, and probably I'll share that link there. But the YouTube channel is like more kind of obvious thing. I'm gonna post it there, probably under your name, and you can watch whenever you want
Okay,
to
great.
watch
And so
under GMAT,
is
right?
is it is it private or it's like public?
No, it's gonna be public. Let me stop the recording. It's London Math Solutions, the YouTube channel.